everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be taking a look at the last album by Oasis. So it is Dig Out Your Soul what I will be reviewing today. So this video was requested by a comment by a guy called Ewan Ellis. So thank you very much for requesting this review. I'll just be doing the usual thing, giving a bit of background information about the album, then showing you my vinyl copy, and then looking at each of the album songs in detail. So this was the 7th and final studio album by Oasis, released on the 6th of October in 2008. It was recorded during the previous year at Abbey Road Studios with the same producer, Dave Sardy, who produced their last album, Don't Believe the Truth. The idea behind the making of it was to make a loud but lush album with lots of production and overdubs that kind of like a fully made studio recording, something they hadn't really dabbled in since standing on the shoulders of giants and Be Here Now. So the aim was to sort of take influence and inspiration from psychedelic music and focus more on the production of the songs. It was also interesting to note that by this time Noel Gallagher had already wrote most of the songs which would end up on his debut solo album. So one of the tracks from that was I Wanna Live in a Dream, was considered for the album, but others such as Everybody's on the Run and If I Had a Gun, which were written they were sound checks on the tour of this album, were never considered for inclusion. So certainly there was an element of Noel stockpiling songs up for his eventual solo release. Now upon release it did get generally good critical reviews and was considered a strong release for the band, a strong sort of return to form for Oasis, and commercially it was a unsurprising success, selling 90,000 copies on its first day, reaching #1 in the UK, eventually being certified 2 times platinum, and in America it fared quite well, reaching #5 there. So to promote the record, the band went on a world tour, and it was this tour which halfway through the band ended up splitting up after a fight between Noel and Liam. So yeah, very much we're not sure if this was intended to be the last Oasis album. I don't think it was but that's of course the way it ended up to be. So anyway, I will just now show you my vinyl copy of it here. This is a fairly recent reissue of it, I think. They have reissued all of the Oasis albums lately, so this definitely isn't a original copy of it. Nice cover there to it though. I do really like the artwork to this album. I do actually subconsciously remember seeing the TV adverts for this when it came out in 2008. I was very young then, probably about 10 years old, and not really aware of Oasis, but I could definitely remember seeing this artwork around back then. So yeah, I do quite like it. It's reminiscent of Noel's latest album, Who Built the Moon, it's psychedelic imagery on it. So yeah, quite like the artwork to it. And then this is a double record, so it's on 2 LPs but pay at 45 RPM. So again, the psychedelic artwork continues there. The first LP, it looks like this. And then the other inner sleeve, I'll just get that out now. Again, a slightly different design to it. So it features the song titles and credits and that, and then pictures of each of the band members on it. So you've got Liam and Noel, and then you've got Andy Bell on bass, and Gem Archer on rhythm and lead guitar. And then the drummer for this record though is Zach Starkey, whoever I believe he had quit the band shortly before the album was due to be released, so he doesn't get a formal credit on the inner sleeve there. But anyway, I will try to go over each of the album songs. So there's 11 tracks in total, so I'll score each track out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So it starts off with a song called Bag It Up, which is a tough and raw rocking track. Liam's vocals really work well on this song, as it sounds like they're put through some filter, but he sings it really snarkily and typical Liam vocal on it though. Unfortunately, rather average lyric on it though, not one of Noel's best songs really, but a solid enough opening number there, so I will give that one an 8 out of 10. get a really good track to follow that up called The Turning, which I do quite like this one. I like the different stages the song goes through, the more like slower like verse, like really nice drumming like in it, like again like from Zach Starkey, like whether the chorus then comes in, really makes an impact. It's like a pretty catchy, pretty memorable song there. So overall, one of the better ones like on the album. Would give that one a 9 out of 10. Now the next track up is called Waiting for the Rapture, and this is, again, it's more of the same with this track here, another guitar heavy song. This time though it's sung by Noel, and it is unfortunately a slightly plodding song really, a little bit of like a weaker vocal performance like from Noel, like by this point, like, I hadn't really found, he was still kind of finding his voice like as like a lead vocalist. So yeah, like, it's nothing outstanding this track really, like yeah, like a little bit of filler like on the record for me. But then the next number up though was the lead single from the album, and is one of the best songs like on it. It is The Shock of the Lightning, and yeah, just a great Oasis single here, a really relentless rocker which like harks back to the urgency of their 90s work. This track was recorded very quickly, and like Noel says, this is basically just like the demo, like as like they recorded it, like so like one of like the first takes they done, so it does have that real rawness and like real drive to it. As a single, it done pretty well, reaching number 3 in the UK singles charts, but yeah, possibly a sign like of like their declining popularity, because this became their first lead single since like Supersonic, like from like the debut album, like not to reach number 1. But still, like this was it was 2008, like slightly like rare, like for pure like out and out rock songs, like to reach like the upper edges like off like the charts. But yeah, like this one, like yeah, still a really good single there. And then to follow that up, we get a much more slower ballad, probably like the only ballad like on the album, I would say, and it's called I'm Out of Time. And this is actually penned by Liam Gallagher, and it's actually rather good. It's very sort of John Lennon-esque, like very similar to the stuff on, say, like Liam's like subsequent solo album As You Were. Nice lyrics on this one about sort of like growing old, and like yeah, it is overall just a really nice slower ballad. It features on the outro to this song a sample like of like a John Lennon interview, like I believe like one of like his last interviews he done in 1980. And like again, this was one of the singles, and it did reach number 12 like on the charts, which unfortunately would be their first single which failed to reach the top 10 like since I think Shaker Maker, like, or like one of like the really early ones, like before like they really took off commercially. I think that was probably more to do with the fact that the single didn't have any unique B-sides on it. Like I think it just had some remixes and stuff like on it, like so fans like really weren't like so like energized like to go out like and buy the song like if they already had it like on the album like. But yeah, like I'm Out of Time, a good track there. I would give that one a 9 out of 10. The next song up is called Get Off Your High Horse Lady, which is a pretty catchy number. This very simple track, like I think like the rhythm of it like is very much inspired by like Give Peace a Chance. This one's sung by Noel, like who does like a good enough lead vocal like on it, like it's sort of like it's slightly sort of processed and like filtered like again. I'll say like so many better songs like in like his back pocket like to like contribute like to the album, like many of which made it onto like his debut record. This song though like would have made like a solid B-side like or something, like, but like as it was like of course like he was like sort of like saving like his really good songs like for like his eventual solo album. But yeah, this one yeah, like an alright track, nothing too great though. We give it a 7 out of 10 for that one. But then we get for me the best track on the album, which is Falling Down, which I absolutely love. Again, Noel handles the lead vocals on this, and this is a real glimpse like into his future solo work, a kind of psychedelic inspired track with like drumming like lifted pretty much straight from the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows, and like lyrics which again sort of deal with God and like spirituality. One of their like better later singles, and it's got like a really great single remix, like it's a 22-minute remix. Like yeah, like it is just a great song, and like again like was a hit single for them, reached number 10 in the UK. So yeah, Falling Down, a great final single there from Oasis. Now this This, unfortunately for me, is where the album does start to teeter off. Falling Down is the last Noel Gallagher penned song, and this is where the quality control does start to go slightly downhill for me. So we get a song called To Be Where There's Life, and this is a song written by Gem Archer, and it's a kind of George Harrison inspired sort of like sitar, like sort of like slower, like wet Indian like sort of track. Like it's one of like the more like unique songs like on the album, certainly like in terms of sound. But I would say the drumming like on this is still very heavy, quite overbearing. Potentially like a grower like of a song, but yeah, like for me, like not one of the standout moments on the record. Now the next track up is probably the worst one on the album, and it's called Aint Got Nothing, and this is another like Liam Penn song, and this is a very sort of harsh, abrasive track with a very sort of slightly fussy drum part like from like Zach Starkey. Just a really like uninspired song, really. Like it doesn't really grab your attention, and it's just not all that great to listen to, really. Would only give that one a 5 out of 10 personally. And then we get a song written by the bassist Andy Bell, which is called The Nature of Reality. And again, this is just another average song. It's nothing particularly good, but it's not particularly bad either. Just a very plodding track, very sort of like bluesy and like glam rock inspired riff. Again, with these sort of like philosophical like lyrics like on it, but really for me, not worth like revisiting out with the context of the album. So yeah, that one would get also a 5 out of 10. And then we close the album with a song called Soldier On, which is another Liam Gallagher penned song here. Like he gets 3 songs like on this record. So yeah, like this is like another solid track, I feel. It's got a kind of marching rhythm section like on it. Like actually like the drums on this were played by Noel, and like it's also got quite an interesting and intricate bass line on it. I think it closes the album rather well. Like it ends on this slightly sort of murky and like psychedelic note. Just rounds things off like rather well, I think. But again, it isn't one of like Oasis's finest songs like ever, really. Like it won't make it onto like a best of like Oasis playlist like by any means. But yeah, like closes the album like rather well there. So yeah, that would give a 7 out of 10 to that one. Okay, so overall this album would score 75%. So overall I think it is a good album. It is a solid record, but just certainly compared to like the glory days like of Oasis, like it doesn't really compare to like What's the Story, Morning Glory, and Definitely Maybe, but certainly compared to like the other work like from like the noughties, this is probably like one of like the better albums. I think like a lot of like the later Oasis albums, like it contains 2 classic singles which rank among like their great work like off like the 90s, those being Shock of the Lightning and Falling Down, but a lot of filler and like a couple of like subpar songs. And for me, yeah, it would end up as a kind of solid final album like for like Oasis, but certainly not a career highlight for either Gallagher. Because Noel, I think about 3 years later, like would come out the gates flying with his debut solo album, which has so many great songs on it. And like Liam, however, like would try and continue like with like the other guys again, like the band, like with like BDI, like which wasn't a great success for him. But yeah, this stands as a like rather fitting end to their career. Like whether or not they'll make another record, like is still like up in the air. Like I probably would think probably not. Like I think there's too much like bad blood between them, sort of like warrant like a like reunion, and yeah, I just think that like Noel especially like has like moved on like from like Oasis, and like kind of like wants to preserve like their legacy. So yeah, that's been my review of Dig Out Your Soul. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.